My wife and I were separated. She had gone to stay with family in South Africa with our 5-year-old daughter and had been there for over a year. I visited, I video chatted, but it wasn't going well. Then one video chat with my daughter was different. She was upset. She said to me, "Pack up all my toys and send them to me. My mom doesn't want to be married to you anymore, and we're staying in South Africa forever." I was shocked and scared. They were supposed to come back. Now I didn't know if I was ever going to see her again. I didn't know how to fix this, and I couldn't have imagined that an international treaty would have been part of the solution. Now, this talk isn't about my divorce, but I will say that it wound up being for the best. Years later, my ex and I are actually friendly. I have no animosity towards her. We have equal custody, and our daughter's pretty amazing. But it's been a long journey getting there. And like most journeys nowadays, it began on the internet. After a bunch of desperate searches, I found out about something called international parental child abduction. It sounded like exactly what I was dealing with. And something called the Hague Convention dealt with it. The only thing I knew about the Hague is it had something to do with war crimes. I'm not perfect, but my parenting's not that bad. Turns out, it's actually a series of over 40 treaties going back as far as 1899, covering everything from the early rule of war, adoption, child protection, international contract law. It's named after The Hague, a Dutch city that's become an international hub for justice and law. In my case, the Hague Abduction Convention was ratified in 1980 with just over 100 countries as signatories, including South Africa. Its focus is returning abducted children to their country of habitual residence. It doesn't decide custody, but it does decide which country can decide custody. If South Africa hadn't signed, I would have been out of luck. It turns out I was almost out of luck anyway. Divorce attorney after divorce attorney I spoke to said I was screwed. I had given my ex permission to go to South Africa. I had given her permission to stay there for over a year. I had no documentation that what the plan was for them to ever return. Because of all these reasons, they told me the Hague Convention wouldn't help. It was hopeless. I was desperate again. So I contacted the State Department. That's what you do, right? Turns out they have an email alias on their website for this exact scenario. You can literally just email them. I told them what was happening, and they replied and said I should file a Hague application. So I did. The application itself is short. It's only 5 pages. You summarize the situation, add supporting documents, send it to your country's central authority. They contact the other government, and that authority contacts the other parent and asks them to return the child. If they refuse, it goes to court. My ex refused. Normally, the other government handles the court case. However, relying on an overworked public attorney is risky. So, the left behind parent, me, can do the filing themselves, which I did. The other side responds, and a hearing is scheduled. Then you get on a plane and step into a foreign courtroom, knowing everything is at stake. The next part went quick, actually. The judge surprised us all at a scheduling hearing saying the mother's here, the father's here, we're deciding this tomorrow, which he did. The Hague Convention applied. My daughter would be coming home after we agreed on a return order. So we walked to a nearby coffee shop in Pretoria and began to negotiate. My attorneys told me to agree to whatever I could survive and fix it when I got home. The next day, I would finally get to see my daughter again. It had been over 10 months. She was excited to see me, and I was overjoyed and relieved. We only had a few hours together, but they were everything. And a month later, she was coming back home. Looking back, I don't regret anything that happened. I'm a better person and a better parent because of it. The Hague Convention gave me a bridge back to my daughter. Tenacity carried me across it. And today, I deeply appreciate the ordinary, everyday moments I have with her that I almost lost. And I'm grateful to my family, my friends, my legal team, and yes, an obscure treaty, one that made any of this possible.